kind of sounds like an 80s slow jam, right? You
Yeah,
know?
that put me in a zen, relaxed mood. That was good.
Yeah. Hey, welcome everybody to a, a reboot of this is like the second or reboot, second
A
or third
second,
reboot,
maybe like
like third,
fourth.
fourth or fourth reboot of Watch Soup. I got my buddy Clayton back here. I'm Bobby Legs. I hope you guys are having a great day. Clayton, what's going on, man? Good to
Not
see you,
much.
bro.
Yeah, good to see you too. We have not chatted in a while, so it's really nice to see you and talk to you a little bit. You pulled me out of retirement. I'd retired from YouTube, from the podcast, and now I'm
Yeah.
doing both again. So
Yeah. I heard.
yeah,
I haven't seen it, but it did pop up that you did a podcast last week, so I got to
yeah,
catch up on that one. I like to listen to those when I'm working out, and yeah, so no, so excited. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, look, I get it, man. Like sometimes I get burnt out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I don't know if that's what you felt, but I mean, I feel like I get a little burnt out and have to take a little bit of a break. But then, like, I just, end up like missing everybody and missing doing this, you know what I mean? So, but, look, I mean, I'm kind of torn here, whether we should just start getting into the soup or talk about catching up some of your watch purchases that you've done. I think we'll save that for after we do the soup, right?
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
but hey, most important, like, what do you got on wrist tonight?
Oh, I'm so out of practice. I didn't even like take it off to prepare. Um, I've only bought two watches so far this year.
Yeah.
So this one is a pre-owned, the Seiko SNR 045, spring drive, diver, titanium, chunky, but wear is great.
That's the one with the almost like Christmas tree kind of dial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it's a forest in like the Arctic Ocean on the bottom of the ocean. So it looks
Yeah.
like a bunch of like little Christmas trees or like a little forest on I think it's the Arctic Ocean, but that's what it, of course, a nature theme. That's
Right.
yeah.
Our buddy Wolfgang, he had that watch. I had not that one, but one of those.
I think he did have this one. Didn't he have this exact one, or was it another diver?
No, he had that one. I had one, but not the diver. I had the blacked out GMT
Oh yeah.
spring drive Seiko SN whatever it was. Great watches. I
Bold
mean, they're
statement.
big.
My favorite Seiko diver I've ever owned, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
like it. I love it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great, and it's titanium, right? So it's
Right.
like
So
not too heavy on the wrist.
it's so chunky, and it like I went to a watch meetup this past weekend and brought it, and everyone was prepared to like, weigh it
Yeah.
down their hand as soon as they put it in their hand. But no, I mean it's so light. It wears great. I kind of forget it's on despite it being like 15, 16 thick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Look, I mean, you can have a big watch like that. You make it in titanium, and it makes it a lot, wearable
Hmm.
for sure. I got the speaking of Seiko, hard to see on because of the gray dial, but this is the SPB 423. It's a USA edition. Recently
Nice.
came out, and I got it on this Seiko strap. I found this it came with a bracelet, and then I was just like, it was just too much gray, right? And I didn't know how I felt about the watch. I found I had one of these Seiko straps on there, put it on there. It makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. The contrast with the dial is excellent. All right, let's say hello to people, and then we'll get right into the soup. Hey, Marceau is here, and he's wearing his Moser Ventura XL tonight. All right. Peter C is here. How you doing, Peter? Hey, Rick's here. Good to see you, Rick. Bill K's here. Wayben
Hey
is
Bill, hey
here.
guys.
All the regulars. Maison is here. Greetings, humanity. He's wearing his Moser Heritage Funky Blue Fume. Caliber YQG is here. Hey, Mr. Wilson. Good to see you. Yeah, great to see Clayton's back. Ken Spear, checking in from Pittsburgh. MD Chaz, what's up? What's up? Hey, Eric Mack is here. Is that GC? What's up, Clayton?
Hello.
Okay. Watch Dib is here. Whoa. Who are these people? That's right. Dib. That's right. Oh, Archie Luxury, Bobby Legs. I'm sending my viewers. Oh, okay. Well,
Oh wow.
thanks. I appreciate it, bud. Appreciate it, Arch. Scott's here. He is wearing his 5296G. That's a Patek, I believe.
Wow.
Underachieving watch collector. Great to see you, buddy. Mez9 is here. Time Hill is here. Wow, we got a lot of people here. Mr. O'Neill, good to see you. Wearing his Omega Seamaster 2541.80 on wrist. That's a Planet Ocean. right? I think. James Duffy is here. What's going on? He's wearing his Raven Trekker, the yellow dial. Mezan is wearing his speed timer tonight, and Mr. Steve Tynell saying hello to everybody. All right.
Everybody hiding in the AC. I'm sure it's just hot everywhere, right?
I mean, what do they call like a heat dome? Like
Oh,
it's just like it's brutal. Hopefully, we're getting out of it very soon, especially here in the Northeast where we are at. But I hope everybody else is getting out of it too. Anyway, hey, soup's on. Okay, all right.
oh boy.
Yeah. No, we've changed things up here at Watch Soup, Clayton.
That's
Hope you
right.
can get used to it.
For the fourth or
Anyway,
fifth iteration, you have to mix it
yeah,
up.
you got to do something different, right? Hey, okay. So if you guys are not familiar with Watch Soup, if this is your first time watching this show or watching this themed show, Clayton and I will pick a video or two. We're just doing one each today, just getting our feedback wet into the team here, where we pick a video in the last week by a watch content creator, and we, break it down, analyze it, talk about it. And my pick this week is from the Time Teller. This watchmaker went full psycho after my review. Very, very catchy title. Anyway, as a YouTube content creator, it got me. It hooked me in. I usually I don't watch Time Tellers videos often anymore, just because I don't know. I mean, like things get in and out of a flavor, whatever whatever it is. It happens to me. It happens to everybody, right?
Yep.
But this title captured my curiosity. So in the video, he gets into a little bit more detail, other than the stuff that the title says. He explores two concepts that are prevalent in any watch collecting hobby, any hobby, right? One, he starts off, he says buyer's remorse, right? It has happened 2 times in his collecting career. Two, the second one is seller's remorse. Much more depressing to let go of something, especially if you really, really like something. Definitely a lot of identification on both those. And Clayton, after I'm done with the synopsis, I'll ask if you had any buyer's remorse or seller's remorse. And then he has a third one, right? Reviewer's remorse. Okay, so we're going to get into it. Now he goes into his buyer remorse. He gives us a couple of examples. The first example was, he got caught up with a media picture, a picture in the media of a particular watch. This is in the beginning of his collecting a watch. A watch. He says, have you ever been caught by, whatever media picture of a watch, or a watch that had been featured in Hodinkee or IG, and you just have to have it? Well, that was the case of the Hamilton Jazzmaster. He says you order it and then you get the box and you realize, oh man, it sucks. And although he liked the Jazzmaster, right, admittingly, it just didn't look good on his wrist. And he often he commented how a lot of his viewers really, really liked that watch on his wrist, but he just didn't wear it. It just didn't appeal to him on his wrist, right? He liked the idea of the Jazzmaster. It was an open heart watch. It was his first one of his first Swiss watches that he ever bought. He was very, very excited when he purchased it, and it just failed to please him. The second one that he had buyer's remorse was the G-Shock Frogman Royal Navy limited edition, the analog version. His problem was that it was an analog Frogman, right? It was not a digital Frogman, right? And so you didn't know what setting you were in, right? That was his big complaint. And he seems like he was a big fan of the Frogman, especially the digital version. He got the analog, and anyway, right? It just wasn't for him. Interestingly enough, he kind of skips over the topic of seller's remorse. I don't know if you noticed that, Clayton. He had mentioned in the beginning, and I was curious about whether what his choices were, because he said he had them, and I certainly have. Definitely, I've had more seller's remorse or instances of seller's remorse than buyer's remorse. But he kind of skipped over, and he went over into like what the main theme of this video was. I think that's something that he wanted to talk about, was the reviewer's remorse. He had, when he does reviews, right, when he gets watches sent in, he will sprinkle, a little bit of the good and a little bit of the bad with every review, right? It doesn't mean that, even if it's like one of his favorite watches that he had a G-Shock, I forget whatever the model was. It's one of his favorite watches. He loves almost everything about it except for, with the negative display in certain light, it might be hard to see, right? But that doesn't mean he doesn't like the watch, right? This is just his honest opinion, and he gives a little bit of the good and a little bit of the bad, like I said. Anyway, so he got this watch. It was from a European watchmaker, and he did his review, and it did a review just like he would do with any other review. And then after the review, he got an email. And this is where the story takes a negative turn. Sometimes he admits that, he will say things about watches that he will get an email from the watchmaker, and they will give like some sort of gentle pushback of like why they did the things this a certain way. And then he explains, well, why he feels like, that didn't work for him, and what, changes that could be made. And that's usually kind of like sounds like a very civil back and forth that he has with most watchmakers. But this one really went off the deep end. He said after the review, he started getting emails. The watchmaker laid it into him, and how he ruined Christmas for this watchmaker with that review, and that he couldn't get his kids toys, they could only afford bucks. Which has been interesting because, like,
So
I don't know if
weird.
I don't know if you've done shop. I mean, I got kids who go on Amazon. The books cost as much as like the Legos. You know what I mean? And anyway,
Yeah,
and
books are
so
expensive.
yeah, books can be expensive, man. Especially my son. My son's like a little bit of a book snob. He wants hardcovers as opposed to like soft covers, right? Most of the time. And he said that it got to a point where when this guy was saying that he was ruining Christmas. Now, Time Teller didn't get explain exactly what he said, but he was getting some anti-Semitic vibes from the
Right.
guy,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, it just went a little bit too far. And apparently, he's gone back to see if this, watchmaker is still in existence. And yes, he is. Yes, they are, and they're still selling overpriced watches. Okay, so yeah, interesting story there. But Clayton, um, let's go into buyers and sellers regrets. And let's start off with buyers regrets. Have you ever had buyers regret with a timepiece?
Maybe just in general of like buying every single watch that interested me there for a while. Like looking back on it, probably shouldn't have done that. Wasted a lot of money and then sold watches for much less than I bought them for. So I guess it was all part of it and it was fun at the time. But looking back on it, if I had to do things a little differently, it probably just like slow down when I first got in. I don't know about an individual watch really,
Mhm.
because they all informed what I like and dislike now, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah,
probably just like, I don't know. I look back on some of those, micro brand, bought a lot of micro brands early on. Like, probably should have hit the brakes a little bit there.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that one. I think the closest I got to really being disappointed by a watch purchase. And look, I mean, like, if it, I'm not going to count like Seikos or micro brands because, those are not that big of a mistake, right? If you buy a couple $100 watch and it just doesn't work out, and you could probably sell it
Unless you
for,
buy a lot of them.
yeah, well, unless you buy a lot of, right, right. But I had bought the El Primero, and I
Mm,
was so excited to get it. And I ended up selling that watch, um, and it was because of the way the lugs were shaped. Like the lugs kind of like pointed out, pointed up and out, right? So you know what I mean. So it kind of looked like a trapezoid, but it was like this. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And it just like felt weird, and it kind of looked weird on wrist to me. Otherwise, I loved the watch. It was just that the lugs were just, I don't know, they were just not, they're just a little weird and off-putting a little bit. And um so that was probably the closest I've gotten to a disappointment. Now going to selling watches, man, I regretted selling a lot of watches, and there're just too many to name, and I'm embarrassed about it. But I will say though that having a YouTube channel kind of lends to selling your inventory more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to raise cash. I need to raise cash. If I wasn't getting watches that were voluntarily sent in for review, sometimes I'd buy a watch knowing that I would sell it, right, and maybe lose like 20 or 30 bucks, nothing major. I just figured it was the cost of doing business, and could just whatever write it off against whatever earnings I made on YouTube, which aren't many. Um, but um, but man, I've sold a lot of watches that I miss now. How about you? You have to have one. I'm guessing.
You know, I don't know, I guess, but whenever I sell a watch, as soon as it goes into the mail, like kind of forget about it because usually I'm
Oh,
selling something to get something else.
all
So
right.
I'm I'm half glass half full, I guess. I'm usually not so positive, but I'm more focused on the new shiny watch than the outgoing watch, I guess.
You're like
Um,
the Brett Favre of watch collecting. You just no matter how
Without
many.
the welfare stealing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah.
But, but no matter how
Just
many
want to put that out there.
no matter how many interceptions you throw, it doesn't matter. You
That's
just
right.
you
Short
know
memory. Short
yeah.
memory. I actually did think of a buyer's remorse watch. Actually, since it's the 50th anniversary of Jaws, I bought that Ulsta
I
Jaws
remember.
watch. And I remember thinking it was a little pricey, but remember the watch chronicler Armand was that guy's name? He
Yeah,
had a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, he had a podcast with the owner of Ulsta, and he said, we used an NH movement so we could put high quality into the rest of the watch. And I was like, all right, sold because I love Jaws. And then that watch was very disappointing. It was, and of course, I lost money on it. And that was probably the one that I should have just looked for one used or I was so excited about the watch and I bought the hype from that
yeah.
podcast. But yeah, so that stands out as probably one of the bigger buying regrets. But as far as selling, like I've only rebought like a couple, not the same exact watch, only once, but I have rebought like a couple Seiko Marine Masters, and
Yeah.
the weight doesn't work for me. Although I love that watch.
Yeah. The watch
Um,
is a great watch.
I've had like three iterations of the Black Bay 58.
Yeah. Me too.
But I don't know if I regretted selling it, I
Yeah.
guess, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what the chat's got to say. Hey, Steve is happy that Clayton's
Oh,
back.
thank you.
Aren't we
Happy to
all?
see you.
Patel Philippe, thank you. Hey, thanks, buddy. Should a man sell Rolex for a briquet? Have you been up to date with what's going on with Archie? I don't know if you have.
I did see, yeah, I did see a little bit of it.
So I think this is what Patel
Okay.
is alluding to.
Yeah.
He wants to get our hot take on that situation. Okay, I'll let you go first. Should a man sell Rolex for a briquet?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, we had an expense come up, and I sold off some watches because
yeah,
I like where my savings account is now, and I would
yeah,
rather pay for it especially in these crazy times. I'd rather
yeah,
pay for it out of my watch box right now.
yeah,
I can always buy more watches,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you do what you got to do. I'm all for like if you like something, and then just even if it's a Rolex that you want to move on from. I've done that before. You've done that before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I think you can. But I think, Mr. Philippe, I think you can have both, right? If you have like five Rolexes, sell one or two and get that briquet, get that tradition. You know what I mean? Like get one of the classique. Like one of those like iconic briquets. I think you can have both. I think a man can have can
Well,
have.
Archie wants to be a brigade man, right? Because only
Yeah,
two is a brigade boy.
right,
Isn't that what he said?
right,
Right.
right,
So which I guess that makes sense to have some people say that, you're not a true collector of a brand until you have three pieces. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Eric Mack, he's wearing his Space View 2020. Nice.
uh,
Okay. I don't know what that. I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Hey, Thomas is here.
Yes, he would do that. He loves
But
brigade.
Wilson Penelope is what it is. It is one of the best names out
It's a good
there.
name.
It's a really really good name. Uh, hey, good evening to birthday star Aaron F 26.
Hello.
Only if a man is in deep in debt, but that at that point he should sell Breguet and Rolex to buy Seikos. Okay, well we got Dibs at 2 cents in there. Okay, old timey. Thank you. I think these are guys from Archie's show. Hey, appreciate you guys stopping by. Um, let's see here. What brand? I don't know what the brand was.
Oh,
Deb.
I do.
Oh,
It
what
was
is
in
it?
the comment section. Enough people said it that it's probably the brand. It's a micro brand. You want me to say it?
Yeah, is it Maine or something like that?
No,
Or
Circula.
what? Are we sure it's circular though? Because I
A
saw a
lot
lot
of
of people
people
mention.
said it. Okay.
I saw a lot of people mentioning it, and it's a German micro brand. It's a German brand. And like then one guy was like, "Well, that video came out on the 23rd of December, so like how would that be kind of like too close to Christmas to ruin Christmas?
Unless
You know
you're a
what I
last
mean?
minute shopper, and
Unless
that's
you're a
your
last minute shopper. Yeah. So maybe it
Christmas
was. Maybe it
Eve.
was. Yeah. Um, I ordered my first negative display G-Shock. Right, stuck in customs for 8 days so far.
Oh,
Oh yeah, and it's a titanium one. I like the negative displays. I have
I
several
like them too. Yeah.
negative displays, and I don't have a problem.
Never had a problem.
Marceau said he also had buyer's remorse with Zenith. It always felt too small when I wore. You know what the weird thing is? So I think what did I have? Did I have the 30? Is it a 39 millimeter? Because they go 39, 42.
I remember
Um,
when you had that watch. I remember you sold it. Yeah.
yeah, I sold it to Peter C actually.
Mm.
And the lugs is a 39, but I think the lug width was like the lug length was like 47 or 48, 47. So it was like long lugs relative to the and but it was just the lug shape and and I just oh man I missed that watch though. I mean I had buyer's remorse and also seller's remorse with it because overall it did uh, I'm glad I
Rebuy
got
it
rid of
right now. Rebuy it right now on the air.
it. NH movement is all I need to hear about a watch pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
$1,000 watch, and this was a few years ago, and it was I liked everything because it's if you watch Jaws a million times like I have, it's
Hmm.
visible many times on Richard Dreyfuss's wrist in that movie, and I just thought
Yeah.
that's so cool, and I like the bracelet design and everything about it. But yeah, it was a major letdown when I got it.
James had a buyer's remorse with his first Grand Seiko, but only because I paid retail for it. Right. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Hey, Scott, he loves reggae. Okay. Well, Yasu, my sexy friend. Okay. I don't know if there's somebody named Yasu or is he just saying that we're sexy, Mr. GMT. Sympathy for the bezel. Listen to Archie talk about his credit card debt gives me anxiety. Sup, Clayton.
My sympathy. Good to see you.
38 million, and I sold it soon after as well. Yeah. One man's shitter is another man's delusion of value. James, so zen-like with that. Okay, now that we're caught up, let's move on to your pick this week, and that
Okay.
is
There he
from
is.
this watch to that watch. Fantastic watches that should have never been discontinued. This is a great one, Clayton. Break it down for us, buddy.
This guy's channel has blown up in I
Oh,
don't know how many
yeah.
months it's been since we have done an episode of Watch Soup, more
Yeah.
than 6 maybe, but yeah, his channel is growing fast. It's good to see. He's a cool guy, and he's even like reached out to us when we covered him in the past.
Yeah,
Really cool
yes.
guy. All right, so there are watches that his name is Mike. There are watches that Mike liked but never got around to buying. You can't buy them all. Sometimes you see something you like, and then another minute, poof, it's gone, discontinued by the brand. So here's some recently discontinued watches that Mike thinks are cool. First is the JLC Sector. Before JLC had a corporate meltdown and decided everything should cost over $10,000, they had an entry-level watch, the Master Control Sector Dial. It was released in 2017. There were 3 versions: the chronograph, the time date, and the geophysic. $5,700 to get into JLC, which now seems insane because their prices have been raised so many different times. It was only available for a couple years. He feels like if this were released today, it would be a huge hit. This seems to be a great way to get into JLC. I have no idea what these are doing on the secondary market, but I may have to go and look after the show. This might be a good way to get into this brand for sure. What do you think?
Absolutely. Man, our buddy Amin had this watch,
Mm,
and he also sold it, and I know he totally regretted it when he sold it. I remember seeing this watch out too. I remember um, he mentioned the price point. It was over like 5,000, but like soon after, maybe like about a year after it came out and it was still in production, I could swear I saw versions of that in the secondary for 4 grand for this watch, and it was always so very very tempting because I love the look. It's
yeah.
JLC, and then they discontinue it, and then the prices on this thing went just bananas for what it's worth. But yes,
So what's
often
this
this.
watch retail for now in the secondary market? Do you have any idea? I should
Oh,
have looked.
I have no idea. I really
Mm,
don't know. And the funny thing is, like, I don't really. I mean, I guess if you put some effort, you could find some that are out there. But like typically in my perusing on a daily basis, like I never see this watch come up. Um,
yeah.
but the funny thing is, like this often, um, not often, but every once in a while, in conversations with other collectors, this watch does come up as one that, I can't believe they discontinued this one.
Yeah. Really nice looking. And yeah, again, back in this is before I was back in the hobby by just a little bit. I probably just missed this watch being in their catalog because I got in about 2018, 2019. So I was still focused on affordable stuff back then. The thought of spending that much on a watch was insane back then. But
Yeah.
yeah, what a great way to get into obviously a legendary brand. Number two, the watch he talks about is the Rolex Milgauss. He says up until its release, Rolex only had two tool leaning lines, the Explorer 2 and the Milgauss. I would argue the Air King
Yeah,
2,
Air
they,
King.
they
Yeah, yeah,
never like, even the Explorer, poor Explorer, they've
yeah,
messed with two tone and stuff. But Air King is pretty tooly as well.
yeah.
But it was so unique to the Rolex lineup. I mean, just look at it: the lightning bolt, second hand, the green crystal, and that's what made it so great. It's an anniversary for the Milgauss next year, and he's hoping that they give it an upgrade or release it back into the collection. I was disappointed by this one because I was on the list for it with my AD when it got discontinued. So I was bummed. I was definitely bummed. This is I actually went for the black one because I've seen both in person and I feel
Hmm.
like the green crystal really shines even more on the
Hmm.
black one, but I know a lot of people prefer the Z blue.
Yeah, and the white dial version is
Yeah,
also
that's a good one too.
was
Yep.
also sought after. I believe that was discontinued before these were discontinued.
Yes,
Um,
right,
and and,
exactly.
and so that the white one was compelling because you had those hints of orange on there as well. And yeah, yeah. I mean, just
The kind of fun you don't always get with Rolex. So yeah, it's cool. Great. A little, like he said, it's a little blingy with the PCLs, but you scratch those up after a while.
they'll bring this back.
Yeah.
The JLC sector dial won't come back. They'll bring this back somehow. They'll figure out like
You
some
think they go
silver.
old school with like a turning bezel, or do they? Is it just a bezel-less
So
three-hander?
so they'll have to do something, right? They'll have to do something a little bit different, right? I'm
Yeah.
guessing. I don't know. I don't know. I hope they don't change it that much. Maybe they'll do some sort of different color dial, or I don't know, like they do like green dial or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Every watch is pretty anti-magnetic now, so it's got to have
Yeah.
it's got to have some other
Yeah.
catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The third watch is the Cartier Drive.
Oh, I love
Uh,
this watch.
yeah, me too. That's my favorite version of it right there with
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
move phase. Love it. The best Cartier that nobody bought, in Mike's opinion. A
Very
less
true.
fancy, artsy, and jewelry forward watch for men in their lineup. It still had that Cartier DNA, obviously, as you can see, but without the crazy cases of the
Hmm.
Pasha, and it doesn't look dainty. Kind of looks like
Yep.
a true men's watch, or maybe the tank sometimes doesn't. Mike tried it on a bunch and loved it, but never got around to buying it. I think this is probably in my future at some point. It's a watch I've considered a bunch. I've actually tried them on, and they're
Hmm.
very comfortable. And it would probably be this one right here, the Moon Phase. Really nice looking watch.
Yeah. Great watch. Another discontinued Cartier that I love, the Roadster.
Oh yeah,
I,
Roadsters.
I could see
Yep.
myself getting one of those, but even
Yep.
before one of these, I'm with you. This is like my favorite variation of the
Yeah.
Cartier drive.
I just tried on a roadster this past weekend. Actually,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't. I wasn't. I would. I think I'd go for the drive over the roadster. I didn't love how it wore.
Was
I don't
it?
know. It just seemed a little.
There's so many different road.
Yeah,
There's so
that's the
many.
thing.
You got to find the right one, right? Do you like
Right.
Romans? Do you not like Romans? Do you like Chronos? Do you not like Chronos? Do you like the extra large or whatever?
Right.
So yeah, yeah. But once you find the right roaster, they're so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice looking. I thought it looked a little funny on my wrist for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But okay, number 4, the Tudor Ranger. Much to Sanjay's chagrin, Mike says Tudor's best integrated sports watch is not the Royal. It's the Tudor, the Tudor Ranger. Or no, I'm sorry, the North Flag. What am I? It's a rare tool. It's a rare integrated watch, sports watch. A lot of them are blingy and more dressy. This is like the only kind of toolish, rugged, integrated bracelet watch that he could actually think of. It's a little thick. He said the movement wasn't anything special, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this the first in-house movement? Wasn't this the first watch they released their in-house movement in? So I guess that's
Oh,
kind of special.
I
I always
I
thought
I
that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not 100%. I'm not a Ranger
It was the first one
North
that had
Flag
display
expert,
case back. It had
but
display
it
case
says
back.
chronometer on the dial,
Yeah,
so it's possible
I
that
thought it was,
yeah,
but somebody in the chat will
somebody will channel
probably
tell us.
know. Yeah. But he said it's got a lot of personality, something Tudor is kind of lacking in a lot of their watches these days. And he said, the North Flag is the Scottish Highlands, while Black Bay is Miami Beach. So he
Right.
just wishes Tudor would bring a little more personality back into their lineup. I mean, this is an awesome watch. We know people
Yeah.
that have this. I've gotten to try it on a few times. Didn't sell, I guess, for whatever reason. But I wonder if it would now, because so many people are clamoring for it to come back. Would people actually put their money where their
I
mouth is
think
and
so.
buy it? Yeah.
I think if they don't mess around too much with the overall look, if they don't Black Bayify it,
Yeah.
I think this will sell well.
Yeah. I think it would too. At least initially, I think it really would. I think it would probably be a big hit for them. I don't know why it wasn't before. I don't know. Maybe the thickness. I mean, maybe it's too weird. I mean, Tudor tried a bunch of weird stuff and it just didn't sell. So I think that is why they're just Black Bay City now. I think,
Yep. Yep.
unfortunately.
Let me
Um,
catch up a little bit with the chat.
sure, sure, sure,
Maybe
sure.
I'm going to try to bring it up to speed with what we're talking here. So let's just catch up. Wayben says, I was really tempted by JLC sector dial GMT. They also came out with a chrono. They also had a chrono sector dial, right? James says, I have friends that thought the Longines sector dial would be a more affordable alternative to JLC, but they all wish they saved a little bit more for the JLC. Hey, but that Longines sector dial is not so bad, man.
I had
That's
the
a nice watch.
Hodinkee version of that watch,
Oh,
which without the cutoff numerals, which I prefer. That's one I shouldn't have. I sold that to Homer.
that's right. You had
I should
that
have
watch.
kept. Yeah, I should have kept that one. That was a really nice watch.
That was that on bracelet?
It came with both. It came
Okay.
with like a maybe like a very dressy like 5 linky bracelet, and then the leather strap on that was horrible.
Yeah.
Longines doesn't make good leather straps, but
Detroit Spartan was also tempted by the JLC sector dial GMT. Okay. Scott saying I like the dial a lot more than the JLC. Okay. James saying he regrets missing out on the North Flag, but eventually bought one after it was discontinued. Great watch. Hey, James, do you still have it? Let's see here. Nice Longines, though, says Von Cruel. How about a Tudor Ranger and a North Flag have a baby? Take the best of both and make a Ranger too. Interesting. Interesting,
yeah,
Rick. Okay.
that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, that'd be like a integrated bracelet field watch.
Yeah, yeah. I do like the quirkiness of the Power Reserve
Yeah,
on
I
that.
love a power reserve on a dial.
Me
I'm
too.
really
Me
liking
too.
it on this SNR, even though it does kind of break up the Christmas tree design thing.
Yeah,
But no, I think I like watching it fill up. I think it's kind of fun. You don't wear it for a couple days, then you start moving around, and all of a
yeah,
sudden it's full again. It's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ready to press on?
Sure. Just Dib says the Tudor Ranger is the bland oatmeal of watch. Oh, come on, Dib. You're not going to rain on our parade tonight.
It
I'm not
wears
gonna allow
well,
it.
but it's one of those watches you sell after a month because it just, I think you get bored of it. I think
Oh,
that's
so you
why
think
there's
it's
so
also
many.
bland oatmeal too? Is that
What's that?
do you feel like it's bland oatmeal as well?
Design wise, yeah, but it's comfortable. I tried it on at the store a few times, but yeah, I wouldn't buy it because I know that would be the moment I needed money for another watch, that would be gone. So let's just skip it.
I like a little cinnamon and honey in my oatmeal, by the way,
Yeah,
and
I
peanut
like
butter.
maple syrup.
Ooh,
I like
strong.
I put maple syrup on just about anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Slightly addicted. Uh, all right, ready to press on
I
here.
don't know if I got this one right.
Yes, you did.
Oh man, I'm still on fire.
Five
Okay.
for five here.
Yeah.
All right, the SKX. He says, terrible movement, bezel only aligned on a full moon. Uh, he said, but people weren't upset with the discontinuation itself necessarily, but more at what the discontinuation of the watch represented. More of like a push to higher prices and like more fashion forward watches, like the Seiko 5. Like he said, this is a perfect tool beater watch, and not does Seiko really have that anymore? Like the Seiko 5s
Yeah.
are like a little
Ah,
too, yeah, they're just not there.
gimmicky,
They're
right?
not, they're gimmicky. They're just a little too fashiony to
Yeah.
be like a true beater watch. So he said, and this had ripple effects. I mean, it was, yeah, it was the end of an era.
Absolutely.
It sold well for so much so for like vendors like Mark from Long Island Watch that to
Yeah.
replace it, he created the Islander brand, right?
Yeah.
So it was still selling very well. So yeah, I think this was fairly early in my time in the watch hobby, and I remember not really understanding why it was such a big deal, but all these years later, I don't know if Seiko's really quite recovered. I don't really love the direction they're going with their new watches at all, actually.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I think yeah. So it feels like they're taking a page out of Grand Seiko with the different seasons and ice formations for their dials. I don't mind it so much because I really find that the 65 reissues and 68 reissues are just great die watches. Anything under that, I'm not just not interested. I am sad about the SKX. It's such a great, it's very nostalgic for me. Like, it was when I got back into collecting, it was one of the first watches I picked up because I was heavily influenced by other YouTubers. And it
It
was such
doesn't
a
wear
great,
all that great though.
but you know what? You can mod it, right?
Right,
And
right, right.
you could put a different bracelet on it. You could put like a strap on it. You could mess around, put different bezel inserts on it, and it was just like such a cool knockoff little a watch that you can just beat up and change it around to get the crystal, put in a new crystal in. I do miss it. I do miss it. Hey, Von Krul says the Tudor Ranger was his kind of boring. Um, says here that the Ranger sticks and bones. Like, yeah, oatmeal too. Yeah.
Yeah, keep
Watch.
you full for lunch.
Dip saying it's. I guess the North flag is like seeing an old white guy in shorts getting out of a Corvette. I mean, like, what do you want him to wear? Like jeans? Like what? Like what? Like, look. I mean, if it's like basketball shorts, okay, maybe that's off-putting. But if he's wearing like little cargo shorts or khaki shorts, I mean,
It's
like,
hard to get in and out of a Corvette for a younger guy, let alone an older guy. You need that
yeah,
like
jeez,
freedom. You gotta have
yeah.
shorts on.
Good point.
Jeans are tight sometimes.
Good point. Steve, SKX is rad, yeah. Well, Cole said, I stopped caring about Seiko before I ever bought one. Okay,
Do you
let's
feel
move
like
on.
Seiko's kind of like, I don't know, just seems like people are turned off from Seiko?
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I understand that some people who have followed Seiko who have or are Seiko fans, I understand that some have been disappointed with the direction they're going, right?
Hmm.
Um, for me, it's just like there's just such a powerhouse that it's just I'm just succumb to the powerhouse. You know what I mean? And I'm fine. Yeah, I get a little tired with some of the dial variations, like I mentioned before, but whatever. It is what it is.
I guess I'm turned off from new Seiko. Like I still go back like this, like something
Yeah,
like this SNR.
yeah.
I'll go back in the catalog a couple years and find something. But as far as the new stuff, like I don't pay much attention even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little more forgiving than you, I think, on this one.
I'm not mad. I just kind of moved on. I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. I don't know.
Hey,
They always bring it back in. They're one of those brands.
they do,
Yeah.
right? It's like the mob.
Yeah.
Good evening. Hey, yes, Aaron, you're from Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Thank you.
Oh, they're asking. They're asking if
All
that's
right.
where they're from.
Good evening. Hi, Bobby. Sir Legs. I'm from Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Um, I have a Tudor Ranger. You won't be invited to dinner if you have a Tudor Ranger. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Deb. Um, I'm only guilty of wanting one, not having one. I thought I don't want it badly enough to get one. Seiko's the best. Hey, NH
Hey,
Rick is
Pete.
here. What's up, man?
Yes, Rick.
Long time away, but it's nice to drop and see you all.
Oh, the
Enjoying
Creator.
the
That's such a
Creator
good watch.
one tonight. All right. What's next, Clayton?
The Omega Railmaster.
All right. Okay, there it is.
Oh, hey, that was quick though.
Yeah.
This watch didn't sell, and Mike doesn't quite understand why. He seems like a big fan of this watch. Um, he thinks they're just like a really good Explorer alternative. He actually said he would pick this hands down over the Explorer. He said maybe the denim dial and the denim strap like weren't to everybody's liking. It was a little too dressy, like maybe not sporty or tooly enough. It got lost in the shuffle. Omega has a vast catalog. They only focus really on the Seamaster and the Speedmaster, so it just kind of got lost and faded into obscurity. But yeah, he said he would take one of these over an Explorer any day. Of course, it's back now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're okay. You can get them for great prices now. So if you have $3,000 burning a hole in your pocket and you want a nice watch, and you just want it for a while and then move on from it, I think Railmaster is a pretty decent choice. I would take an Explorer over it all day, every day. But
yeah, I'm indifferent.
The bracelet's not great on it. That's the thing. The bracelet's not good. I don't love the straps it came with, really.
But. Yeah, I never got into the Railmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Printed dial for the most part too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of their like entry level thing because they're cheaper than the Aquaterra. So yeah. Okay, the Patek Nautilus. Patek didn't want to become a one watch wonder like AP, so they got this. He said they've mainly gotten rid of a lot of steel offerings in their catalog, kind of only moving to precious metal right now. And the Cubitus is an inferior product. I tried on the Cubitus. I actually thought it kind of wore nice, but it's 45 by 45, so the size really, I thought it wore better than like a large Santos, for instance. Kind of wore pretty well. But he thinks it's a shoe-in to come back. Either kind of like we saw with the Tiffany, maybe just like one of those deals where they bring back some extremely limited version of it once in a while for special occasions. It'll come back in that way, or maybe it'll come back in general, but it makes too much money to not come back at all. So he's predicting that it certainly will.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? Because it is a highly sought after timepiece, and so they're just building up like momentum. They're just building it up again, and they're gonna probably charge double of what they were charging before, and it's gonna be that much harder to get. So it's just a finance, a money play.
Yes, and people will buy them all up, and it'll work every single time.
Absolutely.
The eighth one was a little weird. The Tag Link bracelet. He wants just the bracelet. He loves that bracelet. It's a unique look and it's super comfortable. He wants it back on a chronograph. It reminds me of high school, but not in a good way. Like I don't know. It looks. I'm a retro person. I only listen to music made before the year 2000. Essentially, I love older music, older TV shows, old movies, all that stuff. I don't know. To me, this looks. I think it looks bad. Not my thing at all.
Yeah, that's one of them that could stay buried.
Yeah. Don't they still make it? Don't they make the Link?
Do they? I mean, I guess I just shun any kind of semblance of it. So.
Yeah. I had a client a while ago who had a Link. I don't know how old it was, but that bracelet. caught my eye. I was like, oh, Tag Heuer. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah. Like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, not my favorite. I don't know, but hey, to each his own. The
exactly.
Polar Router, Universal Genève Polar Router, it
Hmm.
is coming back.
Yep.
Right, courtesy of Breitling.
Hmm.
Mike doesn't care for vintage watches. He doesn't want to wear other people's scratches. And I'm with him on that. I'm not a huge vintage watch person. He doesn't like the finicky vintage movements, but he's always loved this dial. And he especially loved it when he found out that Genta had a part in designing the dial. So he's a little nervous about the price of the upcoming release. He doesn't really want to pay $15,000 or whatever it's going to be for a Polar Router, but he can't wait to see what they look like. I think everybody's excited, bracing ourselves for how much they're going to cost, but it's interesting to see what they're going to do with it. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, they're going to be so expensive, though.
Right.
Right? You know
Oh,
what
they're
I
going to
mean?
be. Yeah.
The price point on these are just ridiculous.
It's going to be like
And
15. I think he's right on there.
yeah, I mean, like, the good thing before this blew up again, right? Because because of TGV, right? I think it was like, he was one of the main guys who brought more attention to it. Like, you could have gotten some of these older ones for a very reasonable price, and then TGV and Theo and Harris, they started featuring it, and the price point on that got higher. So they just built up momentum for
Yep.
for for Breitling, and man, they're gonna really try to take advantage of this one, and it's a shame. But whatever. Maybe the price in the secondary will fall down, and it won't be so bad. But yeah, it's a classic.
Maybe they'll just shock us all and they'll be like 7K. And yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
A man can dream. Yeah, a
yeah,
man can dream. But yeah, I am excited to see, even though I know they'll be astronomical. I'm very excited to see what they do with it.
yeah.
Yeah. And finally, here he ends with the JLC Navy SEAL compressor. It's not dainty or dull. It's not typical of the brand at all. This isn't what you think when you think of JLC, but that's what he likes about it. So he just wishes there was something like this. It is a pretty badass watch. And I don't know what these are doing on the secondary market either, but I feel like not crazy.
Yeah,
So
I'm not 100% sure. It's funny. Like, I was listening in on a group of watch collectors talk about how, like, what's happened to JLC lately.
yeah.
Like, they don't make, like, like, I think there was a new version of the, what is it, the Polaris that came out recently, the
Hmm.
Polaris, and it was just like, it's like, what are they doing? Like, what happened? I mean, they used to make like some interesting divers like this one before,
Yeah.
and they're just like not doing that, and it's just like, they're knocking the reversals out of the park. There's been great
Yeah.
reversal releases in the last year or so, but everything else, I mean, like, if it's not like ultra high end, everything else is just not doing it for anybody. You know,
Trimming the fat of what doesn't sell, like because the
I
market the way it
guess,
is. Yeah, I don't know.
it's just like, I mean,
Boring.
yeah, yeah, they're just, not the brand. We feel like they're not the brand that they once were.
Yeah,
Um, but hey, Green Rush really wants us to know that he's a Homo sapien. That's great, man.
yeah.
That's great. Um, hey, KR Joy, what's going on? And our buddy, uh, Pocket Watch Patrick is here. Pocket Watch Time. Pocket Watch Time.
Hey, Patrick.
Um, yeah. Um, hey, so I mean, I got some cobwebs. You handle it a lot better than I did.
Oh gosh.
It's almost like never stopped. You're smooth with
Oh,
your
never.
breakdown. But look, while we have a few minutes, catch us up, man. I mean, I haven't talked to you. Like, really seriously, haven't talked to you, other than just a few messages here and there, just checking in
Yeah,
on you. So you mentioned you picked up that Seiko, and you picked up another watch this year. What's the other watch?
I picked up the the Groenfeld's
Oh, oh,
affordable. Yeah,
okay.
because I wanted a dress watch. The Moser's gone. A few other watches are gone.
Oh, you got rid of the
So
Moser. Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, well, I should. A few things came up where I wanted a dress watch. I didn't really have anything to wear. So I wanted the first release but it sold out so fast
Yeah.
last year or whenever that was. So when this one came out, I got the salmon one. I believe it's Bart's one.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice. Got it got a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm impressed with it. I've never handled a Groenfeld, so but it's an attractive watch. It's about all I need. I think the VAT I paid was about $300. So DHL usually, in my experience, wants it up front or before. And I wasn't home. My wife took delivery of it, and they didn't ask for any money. And I was like, oh. Then like 3-4 weeks went by, and I was like, I guess I'm getting off scot-free here. And then I got a bill for $300.
Oh, okay. But was it like what did the tariff look on that? Like, I mean, like, was it like because I just don't know like with tariffs now, like what?
Yeah, I think what was it in USD, like 2,400, and then all in it was like $2,700. I got the bill for $300 from DHL, so that's what it came to pretty much.
So which one? The salmon, the one on
The
the
salmon, I got
right?
the right one. I should have wore it. I'll wear it next week.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, I mean, like, so you didn't have to be like I thought like this was only really opened up for like people who had owned Groenfelds before. I guess maybe that
It
information.
went on sale at like 9 a.m. our time on a day, and I went for it. The salmon lasted a couple hours, and then I think the other one lasted like into the next day. But the salmon one
Okay.
went quick. The salmon just looked a little more vibrant and fun. So I wanted a little color with it. So yeah, it's nice. It wears great. They put it on as Keith pointed out when I showed it to him. They put it on a suede strap, which dresses it down a little bit. Yeah, I think I really think it's very, it's full polish. Very nice. Rick could probably speak to, how it compares, but you get a Groenfeld crown, which that's the closest I'll ever get to owning a Groenfeld. So that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's a nice watch.
Some congrats in there. Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Good for you, dude.
I only have 4 watches in my main collection though, so I've really trimmed. It'll of course blow it back
It
up.
fluctuate, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Just right now it's small, but it'll go back up. I have that Nomos World Timer on order.
Oh,
Um,
awesome. Which doll variant?
I went with the Dune. The like
Okay.
I've never really had that color in the collection before. The Jungle was my first choice, but
Yeah,
that one those went so fast. I was lucky
yeah,
to get
yeah,
that one. The Dune was actually my second choice because I had like blue watches and
yeah. Sure.
I don't know. I wasn't crazy about like the red
Yeah,
one,
the
so I
red
was
was
like, yeah,
very
so something fun. But yeah, it's I got from Topper, so we're just waiting. I think initially, Nomo said like most ADs will take delivery in July, but I
yeah.
know some people who ordered directly from Nomos and already have them. So
Oh wow. Oh wow. Keith made the
yes,
same here. You man, just like Sanjay.
yeah. Uh, I have not talked to Sanjay in
I
a good little while.
Yeah, me too, man. I missed the guy. I missed the guy.
We texted in
Um,
the spring. I think that's the last.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard from him at least since the beginning of the year. He made fun of Colin because our buddy Colin doesn't believe in New Year's resolutions,
Oh
and
yes.
so like Sanjay on our Discord yeah, came out of nowhere, and just like dropped a bomb, like making fun of Colin, and then just like totally disappeared, like Kobayashi. I only watched him a few times. Junior Johnson, he said something shitty about question I asked him on the live stream. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Didn't need to go into the conversation. Caliber, he loves it. He thinks that Nomos World Time.
The
Yeah, no,
first
that's a great
Nomos
watch.
I've liked at all. I'm usually like not a fan of Nomos actually, just the designs and the
Yeah,
long gloves and everything. But I think this will wear nice. It's a cool complication. I don't know if it's
that's
a
great,
true
man.
world timer for the
Yeah.
world time snobs out there, but yeah, it's cool.
No, that's a great watch, man. That's awesome, and I'm happy for you, man. And as always, you always have the an eclectic collection, no matter if it's big or small. It's always very,
I feel like it's
very
a little normal right now. Nothing too bonkers. I mean, I'm going
well. I
back
mean,
to
like
the normal.
you got a titanium spring drive Seiko, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's not like something you see every day. The Grown, which is you definitely don't see that every day. You're getting a Nomos World Timer, right? And what are the other watches you have again?
I have the
Uh,
Air King and the Lions Breitling. So yeah,
yeah, I mean
still have
that's
those.
the
Yeah.
lines, right? Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like that's pretty damn interesting collection if you ask me,
Thanks.
man. You
How
know?
about you? I'm behind on you
Oh
actually.
man, I got nothing. I'm like just like I still have like my GP um and my Panerai, but I have like just like Mrs. Leg's Seiko. I mean this is in 856
Nice.
and this Seiko and a Citizen Series 8. I mean it's just very very plain and boring, and I'm trying to save up, because we got a lot of things around in the house to do as well as, I mean, you probably have the same thing with
Same.
your house, right?
Yeah.
So
Get
I'll
it
be
painted this summer, so that's expensive.
yeah, yeah, and I'm a
Yeah.
few years away again from like really going up market with watches, at least for a while. So I'm trying to find some joy with some of these more affordable timepieces at the moment. But nothing crazy. It's just small collection right now. You know, but
Awesome.
that, as you know, it'll
Yep.
get big, get small again, get big,
That's
get
right.
small.
Totally.
Um, well, man, hey, I'm gonna call it a night. Um, it was great doing this again, man, and
Yeah.
we'll be back at it right next Wednesday, right?
All right.
Right.
Sounds good.
Maybe we'll do 3 videos. I'll do two. You could do one, and then we'll go
Sure.
back and forth like that. Chat, awesome. There's so many people in the chat tonight. I really, really appreciate you
Great to
guys.
see all of you again. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll probably see you guys on Friday for a weekend review live stream. And okay, have a good night. See you then.
Good night.
Take care, guys.